Welcome to the D&D Fitness Radio podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Don Saladino from New York City and Derek Hansen from Vancouver, Canada. You're just managing everybody, and then I got to manage myself and make sure I'm not going nuts too, right? So
of course. Yeah, no, that's where it's kind of been part of the challenge. I mean, I'm very busy. I'm working. I'm productive, but there is this edginess that I'm finding right now. You're basically, my wife and I are in the house working together, all day long, and the kids are in the house working, and at times, they're upstairs and we're downstairs, but there definitely is a little bit of this like comfort from being home. And, for me, especially not eliminating a commute. Like this morning, I've been sleeping to a normal hour and waking up and, I had a cup of bone broth and started making some breakfast and did some emails. And God, but by the time I'm doing that, I'm already in New York City. I could be potentially on my second client or on a call or something. And it's just like this hustle and bustle early in the morning is now gone, which I'm very happy about, because it's just nice to kind of marinate into it. I get my workout in. I took a sauna. By 9 a.m., I was showered and shooting a video, and at 9 a.m. until now, like I haven't stopped. I'm literally like on calls, cooking food, just off a Zoom call for an hour on this right now, going into a live workout. I've got Zoom calls till 7 p.m. So it's different, but there's also this schedule and this pace where, you're happy to be busy, but there's also there's a little bit of this tension. I don't know if you're recognizing that. Are you noticing everyone's like, are the kids edgy? Is your wife edgy? Like, how's everyone doing?
I think it is that unknown, that sort of, well, when are we past this? When we are past it, what does that look like? Like, how do our lives change? Is there going to be restrictions? Like, I was even thinking about when's the next time I'm going to see you in person? Like, am I going to come to New York? What is New York going to look like? Like, that's going to be a huge question, right? And when?
It was funny. Andrew Cuomo, our governor, jumped on. He was in some interview. I guess it was yesterday. And it was ironic is that Broadway was like, we're no shows until whatever the date is, June 5th, June 10th. Like, all shows are postponed. And Andrew Cuomo was like, and this is our governor. He's like, I don't know. Like, how are they giving that answer? I don't know. Yeah. Why am I going to give an answer? I don't know the answer to. It's like, I don't know. Like, right now, like, everything's canceled. Like, we're done. Like, there's no way in God's name my kids are going back to school. A month ago, they were saying, beginning of May. Like, no shot. Like, end of April. It was April 20th. I remember it being April 20th because it was like 5 days after my birthday. And I'm like, oh, all right. We were supposed to be in Nashville on a trip for Easter, which is this Sunday. Damn, we should have been flying out today. We would have been in Nashville right now if this didn't happen. So, we don't know, but I'm looking like I've been on the phone with my landlord. I've been on the phone with my business partner, Randy Kane. I don't even know. My 15-year lease ends May 31st. Mm-hmm. I do not know if we'll ever, after 15 years, I do not know if we'll ever do another session in that club again. I have no idea. I honestly don't. Like, could we go month to month? Sure. I have no idea. Do I find a cheaper lease? Does my landlord renegotiate with me? Opening in the summertime now, how difficult is that going to be? Are people going to be freaked out? Are they just like a lot of the, wealthier, more influential people that we work with? Are they just going to be like, screw it, I'm going to the Hamptons for the next month until this thing actually really calms down, until we know what's going on? I don't know. I mean, what's going to happen? Is our governor going to turn around and just say, is our president going to turn around and say, all right, everyone, time to get back to work? And then suddenly you have 8 million people commuting into New York City on a Monday morning. Like, that's catastrophic. Yeah. There's no way they can do that. Now you're going to have a whole handful of people that are probably still carrying a virus that are going to be in contact with other people. What happens to those numbers? What happens to that curve that they're starting and flattening out? It's scary. I don't know.
Yeah, we can't afford to have another resurgence of this, right? It's just, even emotionally, like, I'm thinking about your situation, and my friend here, I help out at a PT clinic. He owns his building, which is nice, but think of all these people where I'm hearing people say like, well, my landlord is not giving me a break. Well, what's that landlord going to do if everybody's out of business and they don't have anybody to fill that space now?
No, and I completely get it. But what's the government doing for the landlord also?
Yeah,
Like there's got to be something because that has to like because I am sympathetic to my landlord. I'm 100%. He's been pretty fair. Like I've had my ups and downs with him, but he's been pretty fair over the last 15 years. I feel like I have a good relationship with him. He's got bills to pay also.
yeah,
On the other hand, like can I turn around and start cutting, $50,000, $60,000 checks for my rent every month? No, I can't do that right now. Like there's no income coming in. Like, so you apply for the loans that the governments are giving you, that are so-called giving you that we, applied for on Monday and you hope that you can start fulfilling that. And when I got on the phone with them, I said, listen, when these loans come in, which are for employees and which are for rent, you're the first person we're paying.
yeah.
I appreciate that. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. I don't know what else to do, but I'm not. Am I stressed over it, Derek? I don't think I'm. This sounds crazy. I don't think I'm stressed over it because everyone's in the same boat,
Yeah.
and I'm just doing what I can with digital and just trying to. I'm literally like the thing that I'm doing that most people won't do, and I plead people to do this is I'm acting right now as if I will never train another session again in person, as if I will never have a gym again in person. I'm acting right now as if the brands I work with are going to file for bankruptcy. Like, and I'm not going to be getting that income. Like I'm literally, I'm pivoting from where I was and am I starting over? No, because my 21 years of work is helping me right now in this direction, but I'm literally attacking this new focus as if there's nothing else. And that's interesting. And because now it's like, all right, this is survival. This isn't like, let's put a couple extra bucks in our pocket.
Yeah. So you're working on a worst case scenario predicament. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think we all have to. I really do. I think we all have to, because I think the worst thing that happens, I think the best thing that happens is, you work on a worst case scenario and you spend the next 4 to 6 weeks, 2 months, say, breaking your ass, building a new business, building a new focus, whatever it is. And then you go back and you're fortunate enough to go back to your existing job, to your old job, but at least, and fine. But what else am I going to do? Am I just going to sit here and watch Netflix all day? No, I can't do that. Like, there's no way. Are you crazy? Like I have to, it's in my blood. I can't sit here and twiddle my fingers. What
Are
about
you,
you?
well, I was going to ask you, are you talking to any other people who are in your situation, facility owners across the country, or I know you have a network.
I have been, I've been talking to a few and it's all different. Some of them have good digital businesses like myself where we can survive. Other businesses were so small where they just, and they're not paying much rent, where the landlord's like, all right, when you open back up, it's fine. We'll figure it out. And they're training clients digitally. Mark Fisher Fitness, Mark Fisher's one of my good buddies. Very, very, very smart,
Yep.
very smart person. He's got an interesting shtick over there, but man, he knows business. He's thinking about closing one. I think he might have, or is thinking about closing his Bowery location and just focusing on the headquarters, which is more midtown. Weekly Zoom calls with their staff, trying to figure out a way to supplement income for everyone and just kind of keep, how do you keep the boat afloat, for the next 2 months. It's right now. It's just like you're in this period of purgatory where you just got to like hang out and just get creative and try and build a business. And just when I say hang out, I don't mean like hang out with like developing this new element to your business. I mean, hang out as in like, we don't know the answers of our existing business. Because the difference between opening my club right now, opening back up in May 1st or July 1st, it could be, it's like, 400 grand. I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of money when that comes down to revenue or even, I'm sorry, it might be even more than that when it comes down to like salary and profit and, rent and taxes. It's like, that's a lot of money rolling through the doors, and money like that in our business can make or break you. So I don't know. What about you?
Um, it's been pretty good. I'll be honest. Like I'm very fortunate, like you, to have kind of developed things over time. And so once you're at that position, people still need help, right? Whether it's for personal fitness, but for me, what I've been doing is working with teams and universities. And we're planning, we're doing continuing education with staff because now they have time. So we can jump on a Zoom call. I did one with USC staff,
How was
And
that?
good. We had like 14 people on, and I did a presentation. We do questions after, and it's just a good time to get that type of work done
Right.
because you have a captive audience. Whereas if it's in the middle of the year, you might get two people, and then everybody else is training people, and everybody's, they're going 100 miles per hour all the time. So I've been getting more of those types of calls. And then the other part of it is, and this is a big one, I think, is, well, when we are given a date when we can come back, what do we do? Because you may have, let's say you have 3 months of no training. Like, they're, like we talked about, they're sending bands and they're doing body weight and stuff.
Right.
What if you got to get ready for an August training camp for football, for Div 1 football, right? And you've been doing band work and, I mean, that might work for Tom Brady, but if you're a 300-pound lineman, how are you going
Oh
to be
God, you're
ready?
worried. You're worried about. I'm worried about injury. Screw
Yeah.
performance. Screw what they're running the 40 in. Like just going out there in that preparation. Like, yo, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
That's
that's
insane.
what we're talking about. And say the NCAA comes back and says, well, August 1st, we're going to have training camps, but you don't really get everybody back till, I don't know, July 15th or, so 2 weeks enough to get ready for a rigorous training camp? And I don't think it is. So we're going through all these scenarios and going, okay, what if you have 2 weeks? What if you have 3 weeks? What should you focus on? And so that's been a big part of what I've been doing over the last, I guess, 2 weeks now, is that working with
Mhm.
these teams and looking at all the scenarios. And basically it is going to be an injury mitigation program. It's not going to be a performance program. It's going to be, how do we make everybody safe, and how much time do we have? And the good thing is, a lot of these programs still have continuing education budgets that were set earlier in the year, so we can spend the time and we can do this work. So it's been positive in a bizarre sort of way.
God, I mean, I'm hearing about the NHL. Thinking about, are they hosting playoffs? Are they trying to get a Stanley Cup in? Like, what are these players doing right now? Are they getting reserved rink time? Down with their organizations where they can play and skate and stay in shape. But still, it's like, man, I'm curious to see, do the injuries, if they do come back on short notice, or if any of these sports come back on short notice, I'm really interested to see, do the injuries go through the roof because people aren't prepared? Does it go in the other direction because people are more rested and everyone's so overworked and so stressed out that, God, have we ever lived in an environment right now? I have never in my life lived in an environment where for the last 4 or 5 weeks, I've been able to sleep and wake up without an alarm clock. It has never, ever happened. It's never happened in college because I've had class or practice. It's never happened in high school, maybe a vacation here and there where it's a week, 4 or 5 weeks of like going to bed still at a reasonable time and saying, I'm going to allow my body to wake up when it wants to wake up. Like that's special also. I was shocked to hear the other day, they said liquor store sales are up like 60%,
Yeah, yeah.
which is obviously I get it, man. Like, you want to go have a drink here and there, enjoy yourself, have some fun. 60%. This is like all the wishes that every Wall Street guy I ever talked to. It's all bullshit, man. It really is. It's like, oh, well, I'm out entertaining all the time, and that's why I can't lose the weight. Like, you're not entertaining now. You're not having these meetings in Wall Street now. You're not at Smith and Walensky's at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Like, you're home with your kids. Like, there's no reason why you should be going to the bottle every day of the week. You should be using this opportunity right now to get your shit together, get your health together. Because when we come back, if anyone is stressed out for anything but like financial or health or family, or God forbid someone that went through a death, if someone's coming back and they're getting sick because no one's jet lagged. Every one of my clients who deals with time zone change every week, they don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I spoke to one of my clients the other day, text me. Actually, I have to call him this weekend. He said that he went from 220 pounds, he's down to like 194 pounds right now.
Wow.
And I'm like, how's your back? My back's great. What are you doing? He's rowing every day. He's swimming every day. He's eating right. He cut back on the booze. He's taking advantage of this time. He's like, holy shit, I'm going to put my foot down. Like, we can get in the best shape ever right now. Like I'm watching the stuff that you're posting with your kids. Like, it's pretty remarkable. Like what sprinting, what running can do. Like, you don't need 5 miles. Like, the stuff you're putting down is 30 meters. I'm doing your running program with my son. where, we're getting up and we're going right onto my street.
Yep.
And I think the longest day might be, I think the longest distance might be 100 meters, maybe. Is that correct?
Yeah, not even, right? So,
It says 100. It says 100 meters on it, so I'm doing that, or whatever that is.
well, those are like the lower intensity runs, but certainly, yeah,
65%, I think. Yeah.
yeah, go out onto your street. Like I know it's not optimal. You got to be careful with the volumes because it's harder, but certainly, like the videos that we posted, we went to the golf course just across the street, and it's a public course, so it's closed, but they allow people to go. So the cart paths, I'm finding like this very nice, very slight uphill grade, and we're sprinting up that.
It's awesome. I found there's one out of my yard, not out of my yard, sorry, out of my street. When you pull onto my street, my street probably runs the entire distance has to be maybe it's 14. Oh God, maybe I don't know, 2,000 feet maybe.
Yep.
Long, like it's long. It's like a long street. The grade is the slightest pitch.
Perfect.
The slightest pitch, like where if I put my truck in neutral, I can probably push up there, but it's not flat. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm doing it. And it feels incredible. You said that's perfect, right? You don't want to go.
Yeah. Like it's like a 5 to 7% grade, which isn't much. And the steepest you'd want to go would essentially be the same pitch as a wheelchair ramp, right? Because they got to make sure that those ramps aren't too steep so somebody could wheel it, so
right.
Everybody thinks you got to find a 45-degree hill like Walter Payton, but no.
Is there that could actually work against you also, can it? Running up a hill that's too steep?
Achilles stress and long ground contact times and foot stress, I just, you got to be careful of that. So especially at our age, the last thing I want to do is blow an Achilles out. So but yeah, there's lots of things you can do. And I was going to ask you, like, so you have more sleep, you have longer sleeps, you feel better. Are you kind of pushing it right now? Are you doing a lot of different things that maybe you didn't do in your workouts before?
I'm doing things differently, and let me explain. Like first off, I have what I call my own workouts every day, and then I have my live workouts. So like my own workout is where I go and I get in resistance. I get the stuff that people don't have access to. And I've actually, when I say dumbed it down even more, like I typically train with like more frequency than volume. Like I'll train muscle groups more frequently. Like I don't even really categorize them as muscle groups. It could be, a push day, a pull day, a lower body day, whatever it might be. Right now, I'm actually doing body parts because everything else I'm doing is body weight and has so much frequency to it that like I kind of want to go in and hit with some load like one day, honestly, like lower body. Like I have one heavy lower body day, but I'm training body weight lower body 5-6 days a week. Like I'm out there between like, the plyometrics I'm doing, or body weight rear foot elevateds, or all the balancing work that I'm doing. Like lower body's getting hit, it's just getting hit a lot differently. So I feel like if I went more than that and started hitting things, and plus like I don't have that type of load to where I can go do like 3s and 5s.
Yeah.
Like I don't have, like I'm blessed right now. I have a great gym. I just built you want to see this?
Yeah.
Watch this. I just built this half rack.
Nice.
Right? Perform better half rack, but there's no weights on it, and I have no bar. So
are you getting one? Can they get?
Well, yeah. What I'm gonna do is I actually will at some point drive into work, which is closed, and I'm gonna grab some equipment because I know I'm gonna be home for the next. So my kettlebells go up to 32, which is like even front squatting that. Like I was doing 10s the other day. I still can't go heavier than that. So my dumbbells go to 90s. I was pressing 10s. Like I can get creative. I could change time under tension, but at a certain point, that's going to get, for me, a little boring and a little monotonous. And I'm going to want to start doing things just a little bit differently. So right now I'm kind of coming in and I'm really focusing my workouts on starting with something very like athletic. It could be, if it's on like a vertical pushing day, I might start with like handstand work. If it's a squat day after my warm up, like I'm always starting with some breathing right now. If it's a squat day, the other day I went and I started with some windmills just to get my hips moving. And then I focused on pistols. And then once I got through pistols, I started double bell squatting and I got more into the traditional stuff. So every day I start a workout with something. Like today was more my upper pulling day. I did pull up ladders. I was like, all right, listen, I'm going to do ladders. It's really simple. I'm going to hit 50 reps. So I just went like 3, 6, 9, 12, 9, 6, 3. And then I had to hit like 2 to get 50. And I was like done with that. And then I went in and I got some hypertrophy work in. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yep.
I'm always kind of mixing something in. Oh, on like my on another upper push day that I had, the last few weeks I've been working on the one arm push up. So I got in and I used to be really good at one arm push-ups. I used to be able to do one arm, one leg push-ups. And I tried it and I was like, oh man, this is really hard. And I started working on one arm push-ups, and like a lot of my shoulder kind of creakiness from hockey was like, it was a little painful, but it started working itself out. It started actually feeling better. So, it's interesting how like right now I just felt like this is what I needed and I went to it, and it's been paying off well. But, at 3:30 today, I've got a body weight live workout that I've run for 20, 25 minutes. I mean, I got 2 more days of it, and I just completed everyone on a 4-week program where for 4 straight weeks, 6 days a week, we did this together. And the 7th day I did a recovery day. So yeah, I mean, it gets like doing like muscle and fitness, men's health. I mean, it gets a little tiring when you have these workouts every day. The other day I had 4 workouts in one day.
So you do the entire workout?
Yeah.
Wow. Holy
I do it
shit.
in real time. I do it in real time. So that's what I mean. Like, so on Monday, I had my own workout in the morning. And then by 12 noon, I ran the workout for Men's Health. So I ran a 30-minute workout with them. And then at 3:30, I had my workout on my live. So that was already 3 workouts there. On Wednesday, there was 4 because I had to do my workout. I had to do muscle and fitness. I had to do the deck of pain, which is this push-up challenge that I'm doing with a friend of mine every week now, which it's you have a deck of cards and you pull the card and you have like Team Kelsey and Team Don. And I pull the first card for Team Don, and it's like a jack, which is a 10. And then I pull the second card, that's for Kelsey. It's an ace, that's an 11. So you have to bang out the number that you flip on the card. So it's a little easy for me. So I went and I grabbed the band, and this week I did it with bands. Last week I did it with a weighted vest on. So you start adding up these short workouts, which I don't think are a big deal, because when you add it all up, maybe it's 90 minutes of working out. So is that overdoing it? No. But, it's still, it's a little tiring,
Yeah, that's savage. Like, I mean, geez.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to ask you is, like, for your clients, so say they don't have to travel by plane, say they're not getting on the train, say they're not going to work and having these stresses. Do you feel they have, I mean, for their health, long-term health, they should be replacing that with that physical stress now and training, so that when they go back, it's not like the pro athlete going back and like they're thrust back into it and it's like, oh, I'm totally unprepared. Do you think that's a big deal?
100%. I mean, I was on a Zoom call the other day, and a woman's asking me, what do I do when I go back to work? And I'm like, let's just worry about it when you go back to work. We don't know when that is. We don't know what that is. You really can't prepare for it right now. I mean, you could start like making a journal and start writing down like notes and things that you want to do to kind of perform better in that environment. But right now you could be in this environment. Realistically, we could be doing this for another 2 months. And that's a very I think that's a very fair assumption. Like we are early April right now. We very well might not be back at work till June 10th. If we were, I'd be kind of shocked, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm looking at July, like mid-July, because everybody's canceling everything through June right now. And I even if they said mid-June, it's going to be some sort of protracted transition, right? Where it's like, okay, you go back to work, I don't know, 1-2 days a week. Who knows what the hell it's going to look like? It's going to be very interesting. And yeah, I mean, hopefully people are keeping in shape and they can keep and maintain this resolve, right? What's your gauge on the mental aspects of all this, the psychological?
Well, before we get there, I want to ask you a question now. What have you been doing with your training?
Honestly, I'm not doing what you're doing. Like, I'm not training people. I'll do my little videos and I'll put that in, and that's fun. But I'm actually training with my son. Like, he's 15 years old. So
He's a beast.
Yeah. I pulled out my 16-week off-season football program that I used when I was at university with the team. And so we're going to go through the 16-week program, and we're going through all the Olympic lifts and teaching. And so we have him filling out everything, like, okay, what are your loads every day? And
that's fun.
Yeah. So I'm doing it with him.
Does he enjoy that? Does he enjoy it?
I think he's gotten to the point now where, yeah, he's invested in that now. So he likes that. He can see his gains. So he went I think when we started last year with his bench press, we're happy to do like 95 pounds, like 25s on a barbell, right? And now he could probably put up 185. So
Strong.
yeah, so maybe even more. So I haven't really tested him, but he's you know how it is when a young kid starts seeing improvements, or anybody, they start getting addicted to it. So we're doing the 16-week program. So I'm doing everything from snatch grip, deadlifts, front squats, into presses.
How are you feeling with that? How's your body feel when
Oh,
you're
it's fucking killing me. Um, the
it's
level of soreness, holy shit.
crazy, man.
Like squatting, you know how it is. Like I haven't squatted a lot and from deep positions for a long time because I'm like, okay, let's go. I'd rather go run a hill or do a sprint or something for my lower body. So now I'm doing like front squats to full depth, and I can feel stuff about to cramp up, and I'm just like, oh shit, right? You know where you feel it either in the quads or in the up high in the groin.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, ah, God. And then it's 48 hours of delayed onset muscle soreness. And I'm moving around like an old man, but it's good. Like I got away from that. Like I used to do that until I was about 40, about your age and then I'm like, I can't keep doing this. Like, so I got away from it and did more of a run based program. And now I'm like, okay, let's do it. And, like you said, there's little lifts that I haven't done for a while. We're doing Romanian deadlifts, good mornings, overhead presses, stuff that I might have stayed away from. And now my body's like, oh, my posture feels better.
Right.
So
Right.
that weird stuff. So we're
It
gonna do.
gets interesting too with that. It's like it's all shiny and new for you again, and now like your body's at the point where it's going to start feeling good. But I always have a tendency to kind of overreach, which I know is important to do. But at a certain point, things that feel so good just may not start feeling so good. Like when I jumped on your running program, I was like, I was going out and I was like, oh my God, this feels so great, like unbelievable. And then like I just one day like decided to go out and run 5.5. And I went out and I did a 5.5 mile run and just felt good and like everything felt tight. And then like towards the end of the week, I was like, all right, man, like don't feel like I'm recovering from this. Like my hamstrings are just constantly sore. My lower back's starting to get sore. And then you start having to assess and pay attention. You're like, all right, big fella, just kind of, scale back a little bit, like come in, do an upper body day, maybe back to back upper body days, maybe like a push day and a pull day, like give the lower body a little bit of a break, go out and work on some of Derek's really lower, in the program, it's like some of the lower intensity. Um, like those hundreds aren't a big deal when you have that day of like 65s. It's
Yep.
really
Yep.
like kind of like a fast jog almost, it feels
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. It's like a comfortable, cruise speed, right?
But you finish up and you're like, all right, that felt loose. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from people is that they have to realize that, it's not always about just putting their foot on the floor. It's just, just getting in there and doing that movement and kind of coming in with that 70% intensity a lot of times I've got a friend of mine, he's one of the strongest guys I've met. And he just believes he's a kind of a gymnast wannabe, but can snatch, can squat a massive amount of weight, can deadlift a massive amount of weight. And like his whole theory is just 80%. That's all he does is like 80%. He never really passes that threshold. 80%, 80%, 80%. And I'm like, I mentally can't live there, but there's something to be said about 80%.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of a good number.
Yeah. I had this talk. I was talking to Al Vermeil again. We interviewed
Yeah.
him, and he was talking about, I guess there was some debate on, it's easier to make slow people fast than it is to make fast people faster. And this idea that if you're working with an average person, you're doing more general fitness stuff for all their gains, right? Like you're just trying to get them fit, and then everything improves. But if you do general fitness stuff with Usain Bolt, he might get worse, right?
100%.
He needs to be more specific. So, and Al Vermeil's family was heavily involved in automotive racing, and so we started talking about cars. Like, he remembers his brother taking apart an engine after every few races, right? Because he lost compression in the engine, right? So they had to replace pieces and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas your average car, nobody ever, takes apart the engine. They just keep running it because it's just very, very general trips that they're doing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that was interesting. I just had to think about that a bit. And
No, it is interesting. And that's where you get into the conversation of like performance it almost cracks me up a little bit. Like there's a concept out there called tone house. and they claim
What's
they're,
that? What's
it's
that?
called Tone House. It's like, it really, and I know I typically don't like to like beat up, um, boutique fitness spots. And I'm going to try not to right now. It's kind of tough not to at this place, but but when you're claiming that you're training people the way athletes train, and it couldn't be any more different. And I think what they're saying is like, these are like athletic looking movements. Like, we're going to have you jump on boxes. We're going to have you like sprint. We're going to have you do all this stuff that athletes do. You're going to train like an athlete. Those movements can very well kill athletes as well. And like right now, like when I built this body weight program that I gave to, so far, I think 50,000 people the last month. It was literally roughly 50,000 people. And I gave the program for free. I just said, here, take the program. And the purpose of the program, oh God, what do we have? Four strength, more strength-based, four strength-based workouts and two more, called cardiovascular. Just let's dumb it down. But the cardiovascular days are more plyometric. Plyometrics, I would never have anyone do for repetitions. You know what I'm saying? I would never really exceed maybe 5 reps on a plyo. Like for performance, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But right now, because people don't have access to anything, and the movements I have them doing are basically like a lateral bound. Like, okay, like week 1, I'm starting you at, 5 reps. Week 2 might be 7 reps. Week 3 might be 9. All right, we're starting to get kind of high. You know what I'm saying? And then week 4 could be an 11, which is well beyond. But the purpose of it isn't to improve lateral speed. It's to get someone's heart rate up. It's to improve athleticism, which I still believe it'll do for someone who's not used to moving laterally.
Yep.
Obviously, we're going through a warm-up. These are things that are kind of against my own rules. But I'm doing it right now because it's the environment that we're stuck in. And I'm trying to make good decisions that now I'm not going to do that loaded with someone. And I'm not going to have anyone do that who might have any type of knee pain or hip issue or back issue. And I state that in the video. But, sometimes you can go against your rules. I don't like when, train like athletes and then you're going into the stuff and you're push jerking for 30. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, when are you ever going to push jerk a weight for 30? How is that applicable to what you're doing in sport? Unless it's a CrossFit competition, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. People get very dogmatic about stuff, and then it can go the other way too. Like I've posted some stuff where I'm like, listen, this is not something I would normally do, but hey, we're stuck. If you're stuck in your apartment, like I did a thing on hurdle drills, right? And so as a gag, I took some toilet paper packages and I was doing hurdle step overs over toilet paper, right? Would I do this with an athlete? No, but hey, here's something to keep yourself busy and get your hip range of motion worked on. And so, yeah, you're going to make those calls once in a while and give somebody something that you wouldn't normally prescribe in this because of the time. So it's interesting, and it's very easy to call people out and say like, oh, you're not treating people exactly like you would a professional athlete. I'm like, no, I would never do that. So
right, but I'm not like right now. The professional athletes I work with are in Florida in their homes, or in Mexico, or they're kind of often semi-seclusion somewhere where they're not being noticed, and they're doing what's best for them. I'm trying to give something to people where, when you have a space behind you and it's 5x5 and that's what we have to work with, you're going to get creative. Like, yeah, you know what? Like maybe a jumping jack becomes a good idea now, where I haven't had anyone ever do a jumping jack in my club for the last 15 years. Maybe suddenly you're like, okay, like, let's get the heart rate up for a minute. Like, let's figure that out. Like, guys, if you feel any pain, if something feels uncomfortable, let's just stop. Like, you start going against the rules. But that was something, I've seen you do that with people also. You also have to kind of, I don't want to say comply. You also have to kind of give a little bit. You also have to give a little bit. It's not always like do what I say. Like, you've got to almost play the game a little bit. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've been trying to do things like in your case, do you have people that are in very, very small apartments in New York City who are asking you questions and they say, I don't have equipment, I don't have a bar, I don't
Well,
have
everything I'm making is with no equipment right now. So I
yeah.
wanted to eliminate that issue. So everything I'm putting on my social media is body weight. I mean, I might use something with bands. I may have put a workout or two up with kettlebells because there was a little bit of a demand for that. But all in all, I wanted to eliminate that question. I'm getting like if I'm demonstrating a bounding drill and I'm jumping like 2 jumps forward or 3 jumps forward, I've had people turn to me and say, "Well, I don't have that type of space to jump 3 times forward."
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, jump once and walk backwards. And they're like, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, you can do that. Like, just jump. Give me a standing broad jump. When you land soft, walk backwards, and then repeat it. Like that's what I have because that's all we can do. It's not like you can't like land on your feet and explode forward. You just don't have the luxury of being able to do those certain things. So you gotta cater.
Yeah, like there's I'm not a big fan of people jumping and doing stuff and running on sand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but there may be a time and place for that for impact reduction, right? So somebody was saying, well, in my apartment, my neighbors would kill me if I did all these running drills on the spot. So I'm like,
Right.
okay, grab a couple of sofa cushions, do it on the sofa cushion so that it dampens it. Is that the best thing for elastic response? No, but it's going to keep you from people banging down your door.
Right.
So
Yeah, this is for very few people right now. And I'm not saying you can't optimize performance right now. I'm not saying that, but for very few people out there, that's not the goal. So
no,
very few people out there right now are like, it's sad. Like one of our trainers at Drive right now, she just qualified. I mean, it was 2 months ago, but she qualified for the Olympics in fencing.
wow.
She was going to the Olympics in fencing, and now they canceled the Olympics this year. So even if this thing's over by then, how do you prepare? How do the athletes prepare? How do they get things ready in time? They just don't. Like I respect, and I understand with these professional sport teams right now, they're trying to keep things going because player salaries, because of network income, because of the professional sport teams and the money that they have to make. And I can't stand when people are like, oh, the owners of these teams have so much money anyway. God, but you know how much money they're losing right now? Like they can go broke. It's just, this is insane. So it's always easy to point the finger.
Yeah, everybody's working on a cash flow based system, and
Yeah.
so that's why they're asking like the guy in charge of the NBA or the NHL. They're going like, when will we come back? Because everybody wants to know when that cash will start flowing again. And I know with the hockey, one of the teams I work with, they're talking about, well, maybe we'll do an August September playoff, and then October's off, and then we're back in November for the next season, right? So I don't know. Will they have those playoffs? Will they be attended, or will it be just a bunch of guys in a rink playing? Like there was did you see that broadcast? I think it was WWE did WrestleMania, and there was
Yeah.
nobody in the stands.
Yeah. Crazy.
It
Tori Wilson. Did we interview Tori? I'm trying to think. I don't know if we interviewed Tori. I
I
don't
think
think.
we were going to, or we intended to,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. But she's a friend of mine. She was mentioning the other day about that. She put a post up and she was saying that she just can't believe how the athletes can perform in that environment without having a crowd. She's like, a crowd is what drove me. It's what kept me from feeling that pain I would feel when I would land on a mat a certain way. And she kind of went off into it, and you could see how emotional she was over it. And yeah, I don't blame her. Like that's part of the driving force. I mean, damn. I mean, if you're an athlete and you got onto a field or a rink or whatever it is you play, and you have a crowd of people in the stands, it's way different than playing on an empty crowd. So I'm also curious to see if they do bring sports back. Does the performance drop? Like do these players maybe start performing better because they can't go hit the bars afterwards? I mean, there's so many. Does it become worse because they're just bored? God, I have no idea. It's almost kind of, it's almost, I mean, it's so scary and it's so sad because people are getting sick, and what the first responders, how they're handling it, and then all these healthcare practitioners. I mean, tip my cap to every single one of them, but it's so scary. But at the same time, I want to use the word fascinating because we don't know.
Yeah, we've never been there, in this idea that like watching late night TV and you're watching, whoever it is, and they're telling their jokes and there's no laugh, right? And
Right.
so they don't seem as funny. So, and then, Dr. Fauci talking about like, I don't think anybody should shake hands, or give a high five ever again. It's like, oh my God, that's going to be really different. So yeah, this idea that we don't really know what it's going to look like. Are we going to have sports? Are people like when I was in New York last time, going to a show and everybody's around you, and then, you leave and go in and out of the theater, and you know all these people in close proximity are going to the Comedy Cellar, and you go downstairs and now
Mm-hmm.
everybody's stuck in this small space. Like that would freak a lot of people out now. So
Oh, right now? Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
what's the transition
I have no
to
idea.
get
I've,
people comfortable?
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be something where we can just flick that light switch and just throw everyone back in a room together. I don't see how that happens. I think people are going to be paranoid. I think people are going to be aggravated. I think a lot of people's lifestyles have changed for better or for worse. And I think even though certain elements of this suck, there's also certain elements of it that I think every person's enjoying. And the first element that I'm hearing is the amount of time we get to start spending with our kids or having dinner at home every night with our family. And it's like
Yep.
all these things that, I think many of us took for granted growing up, or, now you're like, oh, wow, this is fantastic. Our whole family's here together 7 nights a week. Like that's unreal. And I see the time you're spending with your kids and your wife, and it's just, that seems special. And, those are things like you just hope, I think what you hope is that society just becomes better when this is over. I think that's kind of what I would close out with today, is just like, let's make sure, like, it'd just be great if when we went back to this, there was some type of silver lining, something that that everyone can just like make an adjustment from and just say, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think, I mean, hopefully everybody has some sort of security around the financial piece, because that's huge, right? For people to make good decisions,
Mm-hmm.
because, okay, we're good. I have a roof over my head. I got food for my family. And then, yeah, from there, I think the economy will bounce back pretty well, because, I just think people do have that positive outlook. And, we have no choice. Everything should return to normal, because we just have to. That's the way it is. So it's just a matter of being patient, and we'll get there. But in the meantime, like you said, kill it in your workouts. Like, this is the time.
Kill it in your workouts, man. Get creative, write a book, do something, like do something that you just always wanted to do. And let's bounce back from this and just feel productive. That's all I can do.
Yeah.